everybody, this is Rose of Sharon, and I'm back again with another book review. I just recently read Where'd You Go, Bernadette by Maria Semple, and I had never even heard of Maria Semple before. I knew that the book was a movie and soon to be released, and Cate Blanchett is in it, and I absolutely adore her because personally I think that she's a phenomenal and consummate actress. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna see what this is all about. And from the trailer itself, it really seems like they got their source on the nose, especially with Bernadette being this very narcissistic, agoraphobic woman who doesn't really care that much for people, especially not Nats, as she likes to label them, the mothers of the surrounding area, especially the school where Bea attends, and she just doesn't have time for them. She's very high and mighty. She's got a lot of quirks and eccentricities, and it's actually kind of funny. It's very, very witty. It's just sparkling with a lot of really good narrative from Bea herself, and it really makes you pause and wonder, so Bernadette is really messed up. How did you turn out to be so well-rounded? But actually, we come to empathize and sympathize with her character later. I'm not going to go into why, but she has a tendency to cloister herself away, and I thought, oh boy, you know, I'm going through that myself, and I went through a hermitage after my dad died, but I'm completely different from Bernadette just because I care about other people, and I like being around other people. Excuse me. But it was a very short book. It was a little bit too short, but it ends on a rather happy note, leaving you to make your own conclusion about Bernadette's relationship with her daughter. And there is something involved. It just is one of those things that you've got a person, this absolute genius of an architect, and then something happens, and then you think, oh, that's horrible, that's awful. But yet, things like this happen all the time to people all over the world, and I'm not going to go into what it is, but I think all of us can relate to it. And when you have wit on your side, you start to kick yourself thinking, how could I fall for something like that? But she doesn't question it. It's really interesting. She continues to believe that she's not having the wool pulled over her eyes, even though something happens. I'm not going to say what, but it's I can't give it away because it's just too good. But it's a marvelous story that takes place in Washington State, which I visited Washington State. It's absolutely stunning. I want to go back so I can go to Roslyn. That's where Twin Peaks was filmed, but of course my aunt's in Oregon, so that's another reason why I would want to return, because Oregon is just absolutely gorgeous. But beyond that, it's so funny how demeaning they talk about Idaho, and I thought, yeah, why are you being so mean to Idaho? And it's not like I've ever been, but there was a scene in Yes Man where Jim Carrey's character is talking to his girlfriend, and he turns around and he asks her, well, what do you do in Idaho? And I thought, oh, well, actually, no, it wasn't Idaho, but I think it was Kansas. Yeah, it was Kansas. It was either Kansas, not Kansas, but it wasn't Idaho. Get off that. Ow. Ow. Sorry. It wasn't Idaho. It was Nebraska. Yeah, it was Nebraska. I don't know how I thought of that, but it was just, I thought, no, 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 it's not Idaho, it was Nebraska. What does one do in Nebraska? Idaho's better, actually. I think Idaho would be a nicer place to live than Nebraska because Nebraska is just corn. Lots and lots of corn. Yeah, we have that too, but we also have soybeans and we also have wheat and we also have barley and other kinds of grain. And we export a lot of that. And another good thing about us Hoosiers is you haven't really lived until you've had a tomato from Indiana. Just saying. There is no substitute. And I'm not one of the people who does this, but here in Indiana, we call bell peppers mangoes. Well, I don't, but there are a lot of people of the older generation who call them mangoes. I'm like, why? This makes no sense. It doesn't even resemble a mango. To me, a mango is a tropical fruit, but interestingly enough, there's a section here about how the people of Washington speak, and I think, yeah, that's true. They say skosh. I say skosh. But I thought, why the heck? I'm not Washingtonian. And you don't sit Indian style, you sit crisscross applesauce. And you call your family are your folks, and when you're hanging out with your girlfriends, they're your gals. And I thought, well, I use some of those Washingtonian expressions, so maybe I'm kind of Washingtonian in a way. But it's just a beautiful. Oh yeah, and another thing that was funny is the F-bomb is rarely dropped. It's just one of those things that you don't really hear that much. I thought, really? Seriously? I don't know if that's true, but it's just intriguing to see a perspective from another person's eyes. And B is a really talented young woman, and her mother drives everybody crazy. She drives everybody to distraction. And from the trailer is, people like you have to be creative or they'll become a menace to society. So I'm so excited to see the film now that I know what's going on, and just that whole frightening moment for B, and when Audrey gave her the letter and saying that she hadn't heard anything about Bernadette, and it was one of those moments that you think, oh no, and your heart literally drops, because it's one of those things. I think it's universal to all of us, and I think it's very relatable, and of course the family dynamic is relatable, even though it's a more austere, erudite, high class way of living versus what I am, which is lower middle class, but I'm actually working my way to become higher middle class. I will get there. I don't have that much else to say about the book other than if you're interested in the story and the plot, which is divine, I would highly recommend it. It's absolutely scrumptious, and I devoured every word, and I didn't want it to end. It has a good ending, and it's wonderful, and it's very uplifting, I think, and very just wickedly funny. Just her comments are, you think, oh my goodness, you're like a female Walter, of Jeff Dunham fame. She's that type of person, and she's just the type that doesn't really want to be bothered. She wants to live in her own little fantasy world. She's perfectly happy with that. But yeah, I know people like this, but life doesn't work that way. Life is constantly changing. It's constantly transforming, and we have to evolve with it. And I've come to realize that in my past 39 years of existence. But that's about all the wisdom that I can give you, because I have a lot to learn. Even though I'm coming into my 4th decade, which would be in November, and I don't feel any different. I know I've changed. I've definitely changed, but I still have the vitality of a 16-year-old, so yay! But beyond that, I'm absolutely sensational. So until next time, live long and prosper. Ciao, Titi.